So I think Gibraltar feels its relationship with the royal family passionately. And I think that Her Majesty the Queen is, of course, the embodiment of the channeling of that loyalty that the people of Gibraltar have to the British Crown, to the very concept of red, white and blue Britishness. And so therefore I think celebrations of that will reach us in the very fibre of our being, and I think people will enjoy demonstrating their Britishness as part of these celebrations, which in Gibraltar I think will go on for longer than most other places, because of course we're starting with our street parties. The weekend will be the culmination of the Jubilee in London, but then the Count and Countess of Wessex will arrive in Gibraltar just after that, and I think Gibraltar will then make its expression real in the welcome, the very British warm Mediterranean welcome that we will give to the Wessexes in Gibraltar next week.
There doesn't seem to be as much enthusiasm this Jubilee as there have been in previous ones, the 2012 Jubilee, even the Silver Jubilee. Do you think that interest in the monarchy is diminishing?
I don't think that Gibraltar's ties with the United Kingdom and the United Kingdom's crown, and therefore the embodiment of that crown, Her Majesty the Queen and her successors in title, will ever weaken, because I think for Gibraltar it means a lot more than simply the concept of monarchy. For Gibraltar it's the crown embodied in the figure of Her Majesty the Queen, and our loyalty channeled, our red, white and blue Britishness and loyalty channeled to the British Crown, to the British sovereign. And when we talk about British sovereignty and how important it is for Gibraltar, of course the British sovereign is the embodiment of that. And we saw with the Royal Gibraltar Regiment providing the guard at the royal palaces that the sovereign, who is the demonstration of the sovereignty of the British people, was guarded by the Gibraltarians and the Royal Gibraltar Regiment. So I think that the men and women of the Royal Gibraltar Regiment made real that umbilical link, which we talk about, which we know exists, but we saw it physically manifested there. And we will continue to demonstrate our enthusiasm for our Britishness and British sovereignty by our loyalty to the British sovereign. And I don't think that in Gibraltar is shifting at all, to tell you the truth. I haven't seen any less enthusiasm now than I remember when I was a child.
As you mentioned, we have a royal visit coming up. We understand from reports in the Spanish press that Spain will be complaining about it. What's your reaction to that?
My reaction is to say that the Count and Countess of Wessex are going to be overwhelmingly welcomed by the people of Gibraltar, that the Gibraltarian sentiment will be expressed as ever in the positive. Down Main Street on Tuesday when they arrive, and we welcome them for their first walk from the convent to City Hall, in every one of the events that they will carry out, at the parade on Thursday morning, the day that they leave, and that is what Gibraltar's reaction to any comment in relation to this royal visit must be. To leave those members of the royal family who Her Majesty the Queen has sent to Gibraltar with one impression and one impression only, that the people of Gibraltar remain the most fiercely loyal, the most fiercely British of Her Majesty's subjects in the United Kingdom and throughout the world. And that is what cements the Britishness of Gibraltar, the cut us up and we're red, white and blue Britishness of Gibraltar. And look, I don't think it is for the people of Gibraltar to permit international politics to enter into what is just a purely national, bilateral UK-Gibraltar issue. And in the same way as I wouldn't make any comment on any issue affecting the Spanish royal family or what they do, I'm not going to broach any comment about our relationship with our royals and with our sovereign.
Chief Minister, we have a few hurdles still to overcome, but we are looking down the line at a new constitution to reflect the changes over the past few years. So would you foresee that those ties, those strong ties to the Crown, the monarchy, being reinforced in that new constitution?
Well, there has to be a select committee of the House, which hasn't met yet, because a lot of this will depend on how the outcome of the treaty then reflects how the Constitution needs to reflect our relationship with the European Union. Remember, one of the reasons we had to change the Constitution is because it refers to our membership of the European Union in that Magna Carta, and we're no longer members of the European Union. But the one thing that is not going to change in the Constitution, the one thing that is going to be constant And political parties can come and go. But the one thing that is going to be fixed forever in our constitution, current and future, is that continued link between Gibraltar and the United Kingdom, the United Kingdom's crown, which is the embodiment of power in the United Kingdom, and that bond which is set out in law as much as it is within us and in our emotion and in our political desire, that Gibraltar should always continue to be one of the dominions of the United Kingdom in a relationship with the United Kingdom, whether we're an overseas territory or whether we're another denomination of relationship, because that changes in time. Colony in the 1950s, overseas territory in the post-2000 era, in UK law, still a colony in international law. Those denominations might change, but the umbilical link with the United Kingdom expressed in our constitution, which is a British law, which is law for Gibraltar, and from which all of Gibraltar's laws then flow, is not something you're going to see me as Chief Minister propose to change in the context of that select committee, nor do I believe any of my cabinet, any members of the Parliament, or any future politicians elected by the people of Gibraltar to our Parliament will be seeking to change.
Finally, Chief Minister, what's your message to Gibraltarians on the occasion of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee?
Her Majesty the Queen has achieved 70 years on the throne in an unprecedented manner, not just in longevity, but also in her loyalty to the British people, in the way that she has seen successive prime ministers, goodness, since Winston Churchill, in the way that she has been stoic in the exercise of the Crown's power, and in the way that she has ensured that the Crown has remained neutral and discharged its modern role in a constitutional monarchy. That is exemplary. And we have seen how in other monarchies, other monarchs in constitutional monarchies have not been as exemplary as Her Majesty the Queen. And I think we have to thank her for the way that she has observed her obligations in the complicated constitutional setup that is not written down in the United Kingdom, but which flows into our written constitution, because she really has set the standard for a modern constitutional monarchy in the United Kingdom, throughout the world, and for the future. I think that she will be a very difficult monarch to follow. I hope she will be with us for many years yet, and I think that she has earned the respect of the British people. Look, you can criticize monarchy and you can criticize any system that you like. You find me a better system than the system in the United Kingdom after the Second World War, and find me a better monarch than Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II.